Hi, this is the me on Memoirs. Oh, guys, I forgot to turn the light on. Oh, I might not have much time. I got my package. I got 3 packages yesterday. They were supposed to be here Monday, but they weren't. They were, but they weren't. One was actually taken to this store. There was a big close sign on the door, so they didn't try to leave the package, but they. I felt crazy. I wanted to talk a little bit about these cases I have to do, but I wanted to combine it with some memoir stuff. Alright, so since I was talking about the breakup of my ex-husband, it took me years after I left to get divorced. I had to get a lawyer and a judge and go to the courthouse and this and this and this, and I had legal services through my college. I feel like my nail is a split, right? I feel like excuse it for being dirty. I actually was digging in dirt inside. Can you see that line? It's hard to tell because it's like kind of looks like the line between this and this. Anyways, it looks like all split. I cut this fingernail, by the way. I was listening to my partner read Ken something of Hope. I forget what it. Rooted in Hope, and by the Weatherfords, and it's about African Americans trying to get the history of their ancestors, but not having any names. Pretty much on the census started in 1870-ish. So prior to that, it was listed as property potentially. I was grinding my teeth at some of this. Alright, so I was thinking about when I was a kid. So this is a memoir of a memory of a collective. Not like one day I woke up when I was 3 and thought this and remembered this. So this is my take on. So the memory might not be as accurate as I was thinking, but I was thinking about growing up in northern Michigan on the Lower Peninsula, so the lower part, not the upper part, so up north. And my parents bought a house on some land, but it was just like a couple acres, which seems weird. You didn't even see. I guess it's if you walk from one side of the yard to the other. I don't know. I wonder what you couldn't. There's like a retaining wall. You couldn't walk in circumference. You couldn't walk around the perimeter like that, or the fences were. You could probably do. You'd have to go down the stairs eventually, or a ramp. Put up a ramp. I almost want to go there and like see what my pedometer says. But this land here was a bit vacant. All the way around here was vacant. And they ended up buying the lots here. I don't know how many lots they bought across the street. But I don't know if maybe this land already maybe some of that land already came with it. Because we always had like wood piles and stuff. But one way or another, there was a lot of land, which was multiple acres. And it didn't seem that big to me for some reason. There was a lake in the backyard, so you had a lot of neighbors like maybe up to 10 on a road, but they were mostly vacation homes or a couple of really quiet retired folks that you hardly saw. And I just loved. That's who my mom. We'd always go talk to these retired folks. Someone like their names sound like Snail. Well, I think about it as a kid. I was a guy that had a hole in his throat. I used to swear that he used to smoke cigars. I used to talk like that. Like, I used to sell them cookies. Anyways, so my mom would take me to these people's houses, and that's pretty much who I talked to. We didn't have my grandma except for once in a while, and my other grandmother. And I grew up with this forest, and my mom called me a hillbilly because I liked walking around with no shoes on. I wanted to be a farmer really bad. I wanted to live off the land. I wanted to use medication from the land. I wanted to use herbs, which I don't even know that word. I was trying to be like a witch. I was borrowing her spices, and she had that McCormick spice rack, and I was like, she always knew what was going on, but once I just like ran in my room and took some spices and put them in some containers and put them back, And I was trying to be like I was casting spells. When I went to naturopathic medical school, but oh, casting spells are making like herbal tea, you know. Um, just some lost. Um, and this thing is bothering my elbows. So to get rid of that. Um, I wanted to be a farmer. I loved animals. I wasn't allowed to play with friends. I didn't have any siblings that were my age. I didn't have any neighbor kids that were my age. Occasionally, a couple boys would be at the end of the street because their uncle or grandpa lived there. I think two of them used to live there when we were really young. I had a crush on the older one. Heard that younger one had a crush on me. He was like my age pretty much. I was young for my grade, but I liked these guys. I started liking the guys that lived. So we were in a town. Last time I looked on Wikipedia, it was less than 1,000 people, but there was also a military base. So the base has been closed when I looked at that Wikipedia population. I don't know if it's the city limits or it's not necessarily the county, but what are this? We were in the city limits, the same zip code, but I'm not sure about the people that were out in the woods further. But as we got into, from Iosco County to Alcona County, I liked the boys that were farther away. And I liked the kids from what was called Glenny, a town that was some farmer. So if I could get a ride or my mom would drop me off somewhere out in the woods, like out in the rural, right, in the farmland where we always try to remember that when you go to Glenny, there's cows in the street. And I was doing sports all the time. And there was one time when we were on a bus to go to another school to compete, probably in high school, and the bus stops and there's cows in the street, and I was like, love. Like, I loved cows. I made friends with our so-called enemy town, somebody from Tawas. We were in the beauty pageant together, and I made friends with this young lady. We were like 16, 17, whatever years old. Again, that was our opposing opponents because their towns were side to side. So the rival town, she had a heifer or whatever the black cow was at the. It was. I don't know if it was 4-H or if it was just a regular. I don't even know what these things are called. But I got my mom to take me to this fair, see my friend, see her cow. The cow was up for sale. I'm like, what you gonna do with that cow? Like I don't eat meat anymore, but I'm like, that's my friend. Like I would go hunting and fishing and be like naked and afraid, and I would be bringing home the bacon if I had to. I would try to live off the land, but I mean, that's a whole nother story. But back then, I was eating meat because that's what was served for dinner. I had to eat it. So I was seeing people that had horses. My mom would take me to their house. Then in college, I found someone had a hedgehog, someone had a parakeet. Like I heard for someone, no, this guy, I go to his house, he has a parakeet that does this. I was like, I'm now friends with that person, or at least their pet. I remember going to people's houses, knocking on their door, and they're sitting in their apartment with this animal. Could you imagine being like, I was that athletic body back then. Could you imagine how the athletic, like 18-year-old woman in your dorm, or your apartment, and you're a man, you got 2 or 3 of us, like, I was the only black woman, like, this young women in your dorm, and they just, like, love your pet. They're just like, I'm here for the hedgehog. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know how it is, like, nowadays, I don't think, my son has it, it's overcrowded, there's no room for any other people, our pets are, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. like, I was thinking about, I don't have much time, I gotta get off here, but I just think, like, if I was listening to the hormones that go around at the young adult age, that it could potentially think about wanting to maybe, because I was always desperate for a boyfriend. That didn't happen really, like, either. But I would hang out with these people that they had pets, but I would hang out with men at parties and hope that they would be my forever man, and it didn't happen. I had a temporary guy that they called Bird. So there's a lot that I wanted to be a farmer. I dressed like a hippie. I dressed like in my mom's like 1960s clothes and boots, and some of my dad's clothing and boots, combat boots, and I only wore a little bit of his clothing, but I had this fascination with hippies because I purposely wanted to have alcohol and substance usage, and so I actually purposely went to the library and read about hippies. I read about ED, which that's a trigger warning, and I ended up this loving the freedom of this peace, love. Even though I came from a military family, I hated war. I still went into ROTC, Air Force ROTC. I was going to be a doctor. I wanted to learn herbs. I wanted to join the Peace Corps and go around when I was doing their work on my downtime, learn about the local herb and medical culture of people that were living out in the middle of nowhere, not next to towns and cities with hospitals, and not close to all the technologies we have when we're saving lives. Places that still used reusable glass syringes and stuff like that. But I wanted to take a notebook, draw all the plants, like heart. Like if we couldn't speak the language. What do you use for heart medicine? What do you use for eyes? I thought I was gonna fake sign language, draw the plant and write what it's used for, and come back to the US of A. 3 years later with all this knowledge of herbs, botanical medicine, other interventions that you could do, such as using ash as an microbial or disinfectant for your hands and dishes, and how to do clean water when you don't have the city pumping it in for you, or your own wells that are clean and all that stuff. So I was going to learn stuff about environment, stuff about health, stuff about indigenous tribal customs and religions. I wanted to learn all that with the Peace Corps after I graduated, but I also joined ROTC before that. I guess I was going to be in the military instead, and I dropped out of that because I absolutely didn't want to do war. I did one in the military because I wanted to Air Force to astronaut. I was going to be a doctor on the space shuttle. That's what I was going to do. Didn't happen yet. I don't think they do space shuttle. It's in a museum somewhere, right? So that's who I was. So when I met my partner, we was farming, religion. That was more accepting and tolerant of folks compared to my other religions that are we don't like these type of people. We don't like these type of people. Speak for yourself. What would Jesus do? I like to get into Buddhism and Eastern philosophies, martial arts, and Asian health and healing. I would love to be going to acupuncture right now instead of all these other places, so I find something good and all this stuff. So I have to go because I have to eat. My tea is done. I have misplaced my teacup. I put it somewhere because I have no table space. So I have to clean the kitchen. I got to do charting and all kinds of stuff today. I absolutely have to get stuff done. I'm thinking that I should do executive director or clinical director at someone's place part-time. That's in a nonprofit. Maybe I should do it full-time. I'm feeling like that. I need to go to that education. But I'll do what I can here with my own clinic that I already have as far as education, courses that I could sell on my channel, my clinic channel, courses that I can put together and have an advanced prep, like environmental medicine, not like environmental like cleaning toilets, but like environmental as in what does environment have an impact on ourselves, especially children. Thinking of saunas in different cultures. We still just talk about indigenous cultures. Everyone has indigenous past, but what is going on, like Scandinavian countries in Finland, when small apartments, everything will have a sauna or in their house. It's a regular practice, like taking a shower, like washing your hands, like going to walk. Like it's a regular part of the culture. I love it. I miss it. I miss being able to have that because of my low income level. But I want to share more. And I hope I get these 3 videos from today in a good order. But I wanted to kind of talk about what I was like as a child and how I didn't fit in with my family and how I just read books all the time, watched documentaries. And when I went into medical school as a applicant, I got called in for an interview. I got called to ask if you can't be a doctor, if you don't end up at the school, what are you going to do with your life? What's your dream? What's your next dream? My dream, I said, was to become a farmer. And I still have that dream. And when I actually got accepted into school, I said, I'm going to earn enough money that I can buy some land and I can do a local farm, and then I can sell the herbs, so I can do roadside apple stands and stuff without the pesticides, or at least without the sprays and without the extra, irradiated and all these apple waxes and stuff that's going on food, and just be able to still do all the stuff at Old Kim. Why not use that stuff we learn in school and pay tens of thousands of dollars per class? Why don't we use it in real life? Why don't we do it in the lab? Why don't we do it in our shop, set up as a lab where we can extract oils and get a commercial license to do some compounds of, like, just even if it's just crushing up certain herbs. So that was always my dream. I've made nothing, and I've been in debt and more debt because of my career. So I need to shift gears. But come back to what was little me like, and you still have those passions and dreams. You're still interested in the space program. How can you get your land and get your career and get paid for the wisdom and knowledge? Even though, like I said in the last video, I was getting ready for an 8 a.m. course on hepatitis C, and then I'm realizing the state is not allowing me to provide the medication. Let me make sure there's no, I got stuff written all over this, which I have pulled up in my drug guide, because I want to know everything about stuff that I can't even, it's not even, it's in my scope in Oregon, I believe. I was actually going to double check that, because I'll be having to meet people on the other side. You never know who's going to visit relatives once or twice a year in a certain spot, and if they got a prescription in one location and they did follow up in another, I don't know. Document everything. I don't even know if that's allowed, but I'm throwing it out there because I have people that said they will follow me to different places in order to get treatment. So with that, I'm praying for you guys, and I'm praying that I get some donations so I can get through these tough times. I got a mammogram ultrasound today for suspicious tumor, and I gotta go and get my breakfast. But I am staying open to my original dream of becoming a doctor so I can help others. I was gonna do veterinary medicine, and I'm not sure. I almost kind of wish I did veterinary medicine as a farm. I had an excellent book about farming, medication, home farm, like how to take care of all the animals and keep them healthy. I gave that book away. That's one book I regret giving away. I'm one of those people that, if you give something away and throw it away, you won't even remember that you have it. Wrong. You may not remember, but I do. Peace, guys. This is number 342 Wednesday.